Hello, my name is Chloe Folan, and just to give an idea of a timeline, I created this video the evening of the day I created the video for the red ray, the part 1 for the red ray. And even though I'm meant to be now closing down and finishing for the evening and spending some time with my family in the evening, as I went to energetically and physically gracefully close everything down, a thought form or two came to me. So this post is actually more of a personal share. And I'm sharing it because I feel impulsed to share some insights over another adapted prayer, the affirmation of the disciple, but I just wanted to create a public post about it. As we come out of June, so I'm creating this video, this was created on the 30th of June, the evening of. So as we come out of June, starting into July, it was a gorgeous 2 weeks there where anytime I tuned into the golden network of triangles within planet Earth's indigo aura, beautiful pulses and waves of light still radiating through the golden network of triangles from World Invocation Day. So even 2 weeks later, pulses and pulses of rhythm, white light rhythm through the golden network of triangles from that global initiative, and those energies still grounding, still blessing the planet, radiating out across the whole planet, touching and lifting people as well, whether they're fully aware of it or not. So there is this beautiful pulse still happening from the rhythmic sounding of the great invocation prayer, that collective appeal. But as we start to move into July, that will still be there. It'll wane a little bit, but that will still be there. But as we're coming into July, I'm personally feeling more drawn to coming back to doing deeper work with the affirmation of the disciple rather than the great invocation prayer. And I just want to share on a personal level why, in case it resonates with anybody else. Whenever there is a collective appeal on that level, such as the global initiative for World Invocation Day, it creates a huge impulse, a huge influx of light. The more people that join with that type of initiative, the more it does draw down more light with that type of collective appeal happening. It allows hierarchy to work with us more deeply when we collectively create those pathways. But as most people are aware, when there is a bigger influx of light, it does bring to the surface a little bit what is healing and what needs to heal. And for me, my go-to prayer, whenever I'm noticing downward pressure, involution, my go-to prayer is the affirmation of the disciple. So in other words, speaking about it generally, even with the wave, the influx of light that's still being grounded from World Invocation Day, there is this collective anxiety on the horizon over what may be coming in terms of the wars that are happening, in terms of the orchestrated recessions and depressions and inflation. It's all manipulated. It's not happening just because. Most recessions especially in the last 100 years, have been deliberate. And I think most people are coming to that realization that the majority of us, the 98%, are inappropriately herded and leached off at times by what people commonly call the 1%. Like that, I'm sure most people are fully aware over the last 2 years, the massive wealth transfers that happened, where it has created a bigger wealth divide. So when people do personally get a little bit worried about what may be coming and how they'll manage it, like that, don't gaslight yourself. There is a reason. It's not like you have that concern for no reason. But I like to encourage people to achieve that balance point where you pay attention to the reality of what's going on, but don't let that eat your inner peace. And one way to kind of stand your ground and hold your own when any form of involution, attempts to drag you down, is sounding the affirmation of the disciple. Because definitely over the last 10 years, not just with everything currently happening, over the last 10 years, I have noticed this gradual downward pressure, this downward pressure in education, downward pressure in living standards and expectation, downward pressure, what I'm going to say, downward pressure with spiritual teachings getting used out of context and fluff being perpetuated, downward pressure in spirituality. I'll say it again, it doesn't mean there haven't been good breakthroughs and good movement forward, and it doesn't mean that's not happening. But like I said, that balance point of being aware of what's going on, noticing where it's improving, and then doing what you can do to hold the light while things unfold. And that is the affirmation of the disciple prayer. It helps you to hold your own light against any type of downward pressure, whether it's gossip or nonsense, or like that downward pressure. And like that, I just like to explain things a bit further. In particular, I do not believe standards need to be lowered for people. I believe in people's matter intelligence. Intelligence you inherit from the spiritual mother. You have that as your birthright. I believe in people's inherent intelligence. We do not need to dumb things down. We need to hold standards and inspire people to rise to those standards rather than giving into downward pressure, because it doesn't help. There are times in life where you don't give into that type of stuff. Case in point, what I'm addressing with my Ray series. And I'm going to be addressing racism again with the second part of my Red Ray video. I'm going to be addressing homophobia. I'm going to be coming, throughout the series. I am going to be dipping in and out of different things that I believe need very straight addressing and some very straight language from a spiritual perspective. So the affirmation of the disciple is amazing for grounding divine energies and holding your own, whether it's something happening to you individually, whether it's something happening collectively, whether it's something happening globally. In the Rainbow Bridge 2 book, by the late Josephine and Norman Stevens. Norman in particular writes about the benefits of the affirmation of the disciple. And putting it very simply, it is a fabulous prayer to sound when there is any type of individual, group, or collective challenge happening. And just by, in a very relaxed way, connecting with that prayer, allowing those spiritual energies to ground and flow through, because it is a grounding prayer as well. It's a fabulous prayer that will bring you the answers you seek, even if you can't see an immediate solution or a concern. So case in point, as we continue on from the benefits of World Invocation Day, and as we come closer, especially in the next 3-4 months, of the people having genuine concerns over the deliberate recession and depression being orchestrated, and you're trying to work out how on earth you're going to rise above or hold your own or work your way through that, I would offer the suggestion of connecting with the affirmation of the disciple. And like that, I did adapt it about a year or two ago, just to have the language be more inclusive. So it's a fabulous prayer, whether it's gossip, whether it's nonsense you're counteracting, or whether you would like to sound it on behalf of your community, whether you would like to sound it on behalf of the world, just to have in your mind's eye the intent of what you would like to sound it for. And with that in mind, sound this beautiful prayer and let it flow through you and do its work. And it might be a prayer you'd like to say 3 times a week, or whenever you feel inspired to do so, whenever there is a need, whenever you notice a need. And just coming back to downward pressure and what I was saying over, the answer doesn't lie in dumbing things down or over commercializing things, or like that. I've noticed it even in language. It's one thing to have slang in the English language, and don't get me wrong, every now and again, if I've been a bit tired, I've used a bit of slang. And that's not really what I mean. What I mean is how that's getting introduced into this culture as normal language. Like even to this day, I have people say to me, "You speak beautifully," because I don't give in to this downward language pressure of slang being cool. Now, look, each to their own. If that's your vibe, if that's your personality, that's your business. But what I'm saying is, I've noticed even downward pressure in the English language, and there's no need for it. You know, it's an attempt to use a buzzword or be cool, or what I really can't stand is where I'm noticing buzzwords getting introduced into spiritual teachings, and I think it's gross. As far as I'm concerned, slang has no place in spiritual teachings, proper spiritual teachings, or proper teaching spiritual formats. I don't. The vibe of slang, the tone of slang, as far as I'm concerned, does not have a place in proper spiritual teachings. But anyway, where I would really like to go with downward pressure, as some people are aware, I am clinically dyslexic. And by the way, don't get me started on that. If you do not have a particular disability, don't throw it around like you do. Like that, I remember one time being online, and there was an online exchange going on in this particular group. And this person rightly said, "By the way, I am autistic. And if you're not autistic, I would appreciate you not saying you are or thinking you are, meaning what they were saying is sometimes people will say, oh, they'll do something and go, oh, I think I'm autistic. Now, while they might not mean it in that way, it is rude. If you don't have a particular type of disability, don't chuck it around like some loose thing. So coming back to my clinically diagnosed dyslexia, I needed, and I got, tutors who knew what they were doing. I had, by the grace of all that is, a tutor or two who didn't dumb things down for me. They had the Ray makeup. There was two in particular. Some did not, and that's why we didn't gel. I'm talking about two tutors in particular I had, where they had the Ray makeup for it. And not only that, they raised the standards to understand how I was working or trying to work out maths and English, and met me at that level and helped me raise my standards to fill in the gap. The only area one of these tutors couldn't help me in was handwriting. I've got really, one of the reasons I type things up, I've got atrocious handwriting, and I've tried to fix it. It's just not computing. But anyway, thank goodness for keyboards and all that. Makes my life easier. But in one way, I'm glad sometimes my handwriting can't be read, because when I'm trying to work out notes for courses, it's completely private. No one would be able to read it until I type it up. So hey, there you go. Maybe spirit had something to do with that. But anyway, where am I going with this? Dyslexia. I needed tutors who had the intelligence and knowledge to get to know me and how I was working things out through maths and English, to then help me fill in the gaps and raise standards my way. I did not need things dumbed down. I needed them smartened up. I needed, and I got two of them. We won't talk about one or two others, but I got two of them who did that, who did exactly that. I don't need maths dumbed down. I need someone that good at maths. They can explain it to me no matter where I'm coming from and help me understand my mathematics better, the unique way I do it and work it out. I need someone to do that for me for English. That's one of the reasons I have an editor, to catch typos and grammar mistakes that I would miss. Now, not very often, but I still miss them. So I'm very grateful to have an editor that can catch things like that for me. I know how to write, I know what I want to say, but my grammar and spelling sometimes aren't great. It's mild, but it's there. So by the grace of God, when I've got someone with a lot of indigo in their A makeup, yay, Chloe gets an editor. Barbara's fabulous. So yes, what I'm trying to say is we need to hold the fort with certain standards. And that's the example I'm giving. I don't need maths dumbed down. I need maths people who are so smart they can understand anyone's point of view they're teaching maths to and teach them and adapt it for them. Same with English. Same with spiritual teachings. This dumbing down pressure in even, you know, living standards with all of that looming, there's no need for it. There is no need for it. And whenever I'm noticing it, it's just, so what am I also trying to say with this post? No matter what your field of service, whether you're in the area of personal and spiritual development like myself, whether you are an educator, whether it's primary school, high school, a lecturer, no matter what subject you teach or specialize in, no matter what your field of service. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you sit back and have a look at your field of service. The medical profession, doctors and nurses who are still trying to do their best under a huge amount of downward pressure. No matter what your field of service, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about with some encroaching downward pressure, no matter what your field of service is. And my message today would be to suggest that when you are noticing that, whether it's in your profession, your vocation, or even just your personal life, the affirmation of the disciple is an amazing prayer to connect with that helps you hold your own, to help you make a firm stand against any form or any type of downward pressure. So what I'll do is I'll bring up, because this will be in the post, and I also do have a short prayer video created to share as well, but I just want to bring up my screen share. 2 moments, please. So I will have this up for people in the link, and there will also be a link to a free, lovely video recording of this prayer as well. So just to ground and close the energies and the message for this video, I would love to share and sound the adapted affirmation of the disciple for bringing in and grounding divine will energies to really help you anchor and ground your light, and no matter what's going on, to really make a stand, to really be a pillar of light, to keep things high vibration, and to really helpfully make a stand against any form of downward pressure. I am a point of light within a greater light. I am a strand of loving energy within the stream of love divine. I am a point of sacrificial fire focused within the fiery will of God, and thus I stand. I am a way by which humanity may achieve. I am a source of strength, enabling them to stand. I am a beam of light shining upon their way, and thus I stand. And standing thus revolve, and tread this way the ways of the human family, and know the ways of God. And thus I stand. On that grounded high note and abundance of light blessings to you all, wishing you all a healthy, good week and weekend. Rainbow blessings to all.